All right, so today I want to talk about that often uncomfortable place that you can find yourself in when you're no longer where you were, but you're not yet where you want to be. So you've started to make some changes, you've started to take some action, you've got some progress going on some changes you want to make in your life. You're not to the finish line yet, you haven't reached your goal. So now you find yourself in the zone of in-between. Dun dun dun. Play dramatic music. So this in-between place where that can feel unsettling, it can make you want to retreat to what's familiar, make you want to go back. That's when you find yourself doing the 1 step forward, 2 steps back dance, right? So, you start to make some progress and you're like, this feels really weird. I don't know what to do. Like, am I even doing this right? Is this really the direction I want to be heading in? Like, all of these questions then come up, which makes you retreat back to your old place, to that place that's familiar. And then you find yourself saying like, oh my God, I'm just stuck all the time. I can't seem to make any progress. I want to make these changes, but I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels. You're probably feeling like you're spinning your wheels because you don't yet know how to enjoy that middle spot, that zone of in-between, as I call it. But learning how to make friends with the middle is incredibly helpful. So if you thought about, instead of running from this middle place, what if you could capitalize on it? What if you could learn from it? Hell, what if you could even enjoy it, right? What if while you're in this place that feels so uncomfortable, you could make progress by leaps and bounds because you've allowed yourself to hang out in that discomfort a little bit longer than you typically would. So when you're in unfamiliar territory, it forces you to be present, right? You can't be on autopilot because you don't know how this world operates. It's new to you. And it's a real benefit when you can't be on autopilot. Like, when you think about, I always think about when I first learned how to drive. And you're so aware of what you don't know, and you're so present. You're like, okay, is my seatbelt on? Is the rear view mirror adjusted to the right position? Is my side mirror okay? Is the steering wheel where I want it? Does my seat need to be adjusted? Like, you pay close attention to every little thing to set yourself up for success, right? So you don't have years and years of driving experience under your belt yet, so you can't just jump in the car, get to your destination, and wonder how you even got there. You have to be super present because you're in this unfamiliar place. So while it can feel uncomfortable to be in that place where you're learning what's new, by having to be so present, you can see possibilities and opportunities that you would have been blind to before. Sorry, this hair is distracting me. One moment while I get down a little... Oh, there it is, you little fritter. Anyway, live video, this is me. So you can be more open to possibilities when you're present because you can see them. If you're on autopilot and you're just going about your day and everything you do is familiar and you can just kind of sleepwalk through the hours, then you don't get to see all of the gifts and the gems that are around you. And, this kind of ties into what we talked about last week about learning to dance with energy. When you are present and you can see the opportunities and the possibilities around you, you can engage more with the energy. And that's when the magic really happens. That's when you find things working out even better than you had hoped. Or you see an opportunity that's even greater than you could have ever imagined. If you were on autopilot and racing through this uncomfortable middle or retreating back to what was familiar, you'd miss out on all this beauty, right? And all of this opportunity. So you can really see things with fresh eyes when you're in this middle place that feels so uncomfortable. So when you can, let me just check here. Oh, Mark loves Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Got another Buffy fan here. Joanne's loving the rain today. Yeah, it's been raining here too, and I gotta say, although it makes me a little sleepy, it's been a nice break. I know I'm like totally derailing here, but stay with me. It's been a nice break, right? Where I am in Connecticut for the past week has been steaming. It has been in the 90s, high humidity, super hot, air conditioning on 24/7. Man, was it not? That's the other thing I'm grateful for, was last night being able to open the windows, have a nice cool house, and not have the noise of the air conditioner. So I'm loving the rain today too. I feel like everything is just getting watered. Everything's been so dry. So it's awesome. Yeah, and cooler temps, Melissa, for sure. Hey, Shadi, welcome. All right, just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing any comments while I cruise along here. And again, I'd love to hear from you all. So if you've experienced or are experiencing being in that in-between place where you're feeling a little bit impatient about not getting to where you want to be yet, and that impatience can make you feel frustrated, which can make you slip back. I think of common things like diet and exercise, or the job hunt, or when you start to take action and you make progress on something and you're not seeing results as quickly as you would like, you can just want to throw in the towel and go, screw it. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to where I was. But when you stick through that uncomfortable middle place, it's amazing what then comes out on the other side. It's like you're almost always surprised with stuff that's awesome. Stuff that, like, man, had I quit when I wanted to, I would have never gotten to this. You all heard me say about, I told this story a few weeks back when Melissa and I were in Belize and we were hiking in the jungle. And it was such a tough hike. It was hot and humid and steep. And at one point we reached a beautiful outlook, beautiful body of water. We're like, oh, this is so pretty. You know what? Maybe this is good enough. Maybe we should turn around. But people had told us about this secret swimming hole that was up this mountain that we were climbing. And I thought, you know what? I am wiped out. Like, this is, like, I felt really uncomfortable, right? I wasn't to the destination yet, but I feel like I had made really good progress from where we came from. So it's like, maybe this is good enough. Let's turn around and go back. And then we were like, well, you know what? Let's just try a few more steps and see. And it was literally, I don't know, 20 steps up around a corner, and there was this oasis there, this beautiful, magical, private swimming hole with the clearest, warmest water that was so refreshing after that tough hike. And I think about, had we retreated to what was familiar, and in that middle place, we would have missed out on that amazing experience of swimming in this mountain water in Belize. And it's all because we pushed through the discomfort of being in the middle, of not knowing if we could handle what was up ahead. And again, I talked about that in my newsletter this week, this whole myth about the fear of the unknown. There is no such thing as the fear of the unknown. You literally can't fear something you don't know. It's impossible. You don't know what it is, so how can you fear it, right? What you can fear, however, is your inability to handle the unknown. That's a whole different thing. And that's something you can sink your teeth into. So when you are afraid of your ability to handle the unknown, then you have something to work on. You can then work on building your self-confidence. You can work on collecting your resources, identifying who you can lean on for support and help if you really don't know what to do next. When we were hiking that in the jungle in Belize, I was ready to throw in the towel before Melissa was, and she was like, you know what, let's just try a couple more steps, and then we'll take a rest, and a couple more, and we'll take a rest. And so I had a safe person with me who encouraged me, who said, you know what, come on, you can do this, couple more steps. And when we reached that, I was like, thank God. So when you fear that you can't handle the unknown, then you can do something about it. But if you allow yourself to be the victim to this myth of fear of the unknown, that really just becomes an excuse to not try harder. So take some comfort in knowing there is no such thing as the fear of the unknown. There's the fear that we can't handle the unknown, because then you can work on building up your resources, your self-confidence, so you can start to show yourself and believe yourself that you do have what it takes to navigate the unknown. Think about times in the past when you were up against some tricky situations or some scary situations. Maybe you got laid off, and you weren't sure what you were going to do, or maybe you got into a fight with a friend and you're like, oh my God, what do I do with this? Or maybe a loved one passed away and you just don't know how you're going to survive without them. All of those things, you can think about what tools and resources within myself and outside of myself did I tap into to get me through that difficult time. And you then remind yourself that you have what it takes to get through the most challenging things. So there can be no fear of the unknown. Take comfort in that. Let me see here. Mark wishes he had rain in East Tennessee, hot in the low 90s. Oh, Mark, that's how it's been here for a week. I feel ya. Maybe we can send some rain your way. Hey, Annie. I'm sure you got on a while ago. I just saw that you got on. Joanne, yes, new biz. I don't even know what I don't know. Yeah, momentum was happening, then took a family vacation, and now ready to go back at it, but kind of lost. Where did I leave off? Why was it so good? And now getting back to getting going again. Yeah, Joanne, that's tough. But that's just, like you said something really important there. Don't expect yourself to just dive back in and know where you left off from. Instead, take some time, 15, 20 minutes, to sit down, maybe review some of the things you did before vacation, refamiliarize yourself with where you left off. You can't expect yourself to make progress if you don't know where you left off. So start with finding out where you left off, right? We tend to always want to jump 2 steps ahead when we just need to take that very next step. So, you had that momentum going. You lost the momentum because you went on vacation. The good news is you had momentum, so you can get it back, right? It's not gone forever. You can tap back into it. So give yourself some time to find where you left off and how you need to pick back up. So don't even know what I don't know. Yeah, that's the other thing, Joanne, when we don't know what we don't know. So there are those stages of learning that I talked about before. There's that unconsciously incompetent, which is what you say, I don't even know what I don't know. And that can be tough, especially if you want to make progress on something and you're like, I don't even know what I don't know. Like, how can I learn it if I don't know what I don't know? So unconsciously incompetent is a tricky stage. But that's when you start with, okay, like I would start with a Google search. What do I need to do? What do I need to know to grow my business or to start my business or whatever the case may be? And so by doing that, you then move into the stage of consciously incompetent. You now know what you don't know, right? So you've moved from unconsciously incompetent to consciously incompetent. Now that you know what you don't know, now you can go learn about it. And when you learn about it and you get familiar with it and you get comfortable with it, now you move into consciously competent. You know that you know what you're doing, or you know what you have to do. And then the fourth and final stage, which is the greatest, is unconsciously competent. You just know it. You don't even have to think about it. You know it. Again, it's like driving the car, right? After you've been driving for many years, you don't even have to think about driving. You just know how to do it. You are unconsciously competent. But when you started driving, you were consciously incompetent, or unconsciously incompetent when you were a child. You didn't know what you didn't know. But then when you're in like driver's ed and taking driving classes, you're very aware of what you don't know. And that's a real intimidating stage of like, oh my God, there's so much I don't know, and I know I don't know it. But being patient with yourself and going, okay, now I just need to take things one step at a time. I can, even if I don't know what I don't know, I can research that. What top 5 things should I know to grow my business? Or, tips for brand new entrepreneurs, something like that. So you can certainly do that. Yeah, you're welcome, Joanne. Donna, I hope this is recorded. It is. My mind is with my sister who just died. My head is still spinning. Donna, I am so sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Donna. Yes, it is recorded. So you can just go to facebook.com/CarrieCoach click on videos, and you'll find this one. I'll put this up as the featured video so you can find it easily. Yeah, Donna, I lost my dad back in November, and that was probably my first experience as an adult of a big loss. And man, it throws you for a loop. I totally feel you. I'm so sorry to hear about your sister. What I can say to you, because all the cliches aren't really helpful, but grief is a journey. It just is. I don't know if this is your first experience with grief. Even if it's not, it doesn't matter. One thing that I try to remind myself again and again is I don't get to decide when I'm done with grief. Grief decides when it's done with me. And so I'm just along for the ride. And as long as I can honor that journey by just going where it takes me, then I feel like I'm taking good care of myself, and I'm also honoring my loved one who passed. And so, oh gosh, you lost your mom in December. Donna, I'm so sorry. That's a lot of loss, honey, in just a couple months, or in a short period of time. So you've probably are experiencing or have experienced the, can't hold on to a thought, the kind of floating head, can't focus on things, can't cry or can't stop crying, like all of that stuff, right? It's such a massive journey. And I guess not that you're necessarily asking for advice, but my suggestion would be, and I remind myself of this still, is to just let yourself be right where you're at. Even if it feels uncomfortable. If you need to go in your room privately and sob, or if you need to not cry, whatever it is right, is okay, is fine. I'm just so sorry. Know that I'm sending you lots of love and holding you in lots of love and light. Really sorry to hear that. Shadi, looking for a new job. It's hard, yes. Plus I'll be in grad school starting August at night classes. So feeling anxious and overwhelmed. How do I manage this unknown place? Yeah, Shadi, that's it, right? You can't manage the unknown because it's unknown. What you can manage and what you can work on is your ability to handle the unknown. So in this example, Shadi, so you're looking for a new job and you're starting grad school. So let's say, grad school starting at night in August. So that makes you feel anxious, makes you feel overwhelmed. So think about, what do I need to feel better about starting classes in August? Do I need more information on where I go for the classes if they're not online classes? Do I need more, do I need supplies? Do I need to read about other people's experiences? That part of you who's afraid is that younger part of you who needs the adult you to step up and help her out. So find out what it is she needs and figure out a way to provide it to her. So do you need more information? Are you feeling nervous about juggling your schedule? And if so, how can you streamline that? How can you streamline that? What kind of planning can you start practicing now to help you manage looking for a job and starting classes? So if you want to, in the comment section, Shadi, to say a little bit more about what specifically you're feeling anxious and overwhelmed about, then we can speak more specifically about that. But the how do I manage this unknown place is exactly what we're talking about here. You can't manage the unknown, but you can manage yourself. You can manage your mind. You can manage your needs, your resources. You can't manage the unknown because you don't know what it is. You don't know when and where you're going to find a job. You don't know yet how the classes are going to go because you haven't started yet. So, yeah, think more about what is it that you need to feel less anxious and less overwhelmed in regards to looking for that job or starting those classes. and then find a way to give it to yourself. Find a way. Well, you know what? I don't really know how to do this. Great. Let me see if I can find out. Let me call the school. Let me do some research. Whatever it is, show that scared part of you that you'll take steps to help her feel safer. So hopefully that's helpful, Shadi. Yeah, Donna, I hope you're seeing all this love from everyone. So sorry for your loss. Yeah, it's just really tough. So that's like its own kind of zone of in-between, right, Donna? This in-between place of life pre-loss and life post-loss. So life when your mom was still here, life when your sister was still with you, and then life after. And so you are absolutely smack dab in a zone of in-between. And that's probably the toughest zone of in-between that you're in. But the same approach applies there, Donna, is like, if you just get it, like when I would get overwhelmed with my father's death and like, just, our tendency is to want to make sense out of things, and some things you just can't make sense out of. And when we want to make sense out of things, it's usually because we are uncomfortable with the feelings that we're feeling. We don't really know what to do with them. They don't feel very good. So we want to get away from them. So we want to rationalize away our feelings. But you can't think your feelings. So when you're in that zone of in-between, of not really knowing which way to turn as you navigate these really tough losses, that's the perfect opportunity to try to be as present as possible. Grief forces you to be present. I mean, you really don't have a choice with that, because, well, you do. I mean, you could use unhealthy coping mechanisms, but you have to be in this place of like facing that reality. And what you have is yourself and those around you who love and support you, to help you navigate those really tricky waters. So while you're in this place, Donna, and everyone else in their own way, let it be an opportunity for you to accumulate new resources and to practice a level of self-care that maybe you never did before. I mean, that's certainly any challenging experience in life, grief or otherwise, is a real opportunity to kick up the self-care, especially grief. I mean, you almost don't have a choice. Whether you think it's in your best interest to hold it together around other people, you'll still need to practice that self-care privately. Or if self-care for you is being vulnerable with others, then doing that more. Yeah, that's a real powerful zone of in-between to be in, Donna. But yes, you have friends here. We all love and support you, and we're sending you lots of love. So Shadi is anxious about the scholarships she has to look for, the classes I have to pay for, the grants I have to write for. So much work, not enough time. Then I get overwhelmed, mental clutter. Then I give up and go to my bed and hide. Totally get that, Shadi. All right, Shadi. So this makes sense. So this is more about planning for you. So you're anxious and overwhelmed because, like you said, there's so much work and you feel like there's not enough time. Planning. Like, that's something that I have been trying to implement more and more of for months now. And when I do, like, I did a really good job of it last week. So, today I've done a good job of it. I literally write down a list of what I need to do for the week, and then what I'm going to schedule in each day. I don't schedule the individual days in advance because I want to do it depending on how each day goes. But like last night, for instance, before bed, I went right into my calendar and I plugged in the things I was going to work on today, the priorities that needed to be handled today. And I even timed them out, like, okay, in the morning between this hour and this hour, I'm going to work on this. Between that hour and that hour, I'm going to work on that. And I chunked out the day into sections to focus on different things on my priority list of things that had to get done either today or have to get done this week. So whether it's for the grants, for the scholarships, whatever it is, schedule time for it. We waste so much time during our day going, what should I work on next? What do I need to do next? I'm not really sure. I waste hours a day on that. But if I have a list to go by and I finish the one task, and if I for a second go, okay, good, so that's done. Now what was next? I go, nope, go right to the list and look. Check your calendar. See what's next. So planning, especially with something as tangible as, scholarships, grants, that kind of stuff. Use that Pomodoro technique that you've heard me talk about, that 25-minute window where you sit down at a task and you say, okay, I'm going to look for scholarships. I'm going to spend one palm round looking for scholarships. You eliminate all distractions, shut off your email, your phone, social media, everything. Just the information in front of you is for the scholarship research. Set a timer for 25 minutes and focus on that task at hand and only that task at hand. And again, like I've said before, if you have resistance to doing it, you can spend the first 10 minutes or so of that 25 minutes journaling about the resistance you have to looking for scholarships. And then maybe you take that break and do another round on looking for scholarships. Same thing with the grants, right? Schedule time for it. Ask yourself, okay, I have to write these grants. How long do I think it's going to take me to do those grants? Well, probably will take me 2 hours. I'm just making that up. Probably will take me 2 hours, so I'll give myself 3. And where am I going to schedule my first 2 rounds on the grant writing? Yeah, I'm in a similar place right now, Shadi. I have a lot going on right now. So many things that are on very tight deadlines that I have to schedule things out. Otherwise, I will spin my wheels, nothing will get done, or I'll be working on things at the 11th hour, cranking them out and not putting my best foot forward. So, schedule is my advice to you. So hopefully that's helpful. Anyone else have any thoughts or comments around feeling like, you're kind of in this in-between place, not really sure where to go next, or feeling resistance, wanting to run back and retreat to what's familiar? Because remember, when we want to retreat to what's familiar, it's only because that place feels safe to us. Familiar is safe. And the part of us who feels afraid to step out of our comfort zone, to take a risk, is really good at convincing us to go back to what's familiar. Because he or she knows how to live there. They know how to operate in that place. But this new and different place just feels way too weird. So if you're not careful, they're going to be really convincing to send you back to the starting line. And that's when, again, it's going to feel like you're spinning your wheels, can't get any traction, feel like it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back, all that kind of stuff. So even if you're in that uncomfortable place, look around, because the possibilities and the opportunities in that middle, in that zone of in-between, are so rich that if you can park aside the discomfort for a minute and just take a look around, you'll be amazed at oh my God, you'll see the answer that you've been seeking in front of you, or you'll see something even better. Again, that middle place is where you and the universe start to dance, and you're shown paths that you wouldn't have seen otherwise had you just tunnel visioned and charged forward toward what you think was your best goal. Yeah. Shadi, when do you make your list goals? At night? Yeah, it's a really personal choice, Shadi. For me personally, it's an individual choice, I should say. For me personally, I do it at night. That works best for me. I'm more of a night person than a morning person. So on Sunday nights, I dump my mind out and I make my to-do list for the week. And then, after I do that on Sunday nights, I then do my Monday specific tasks, and I put them either right in my calendar or on my to-do list for Monday. And then, for instance, my day tomorrow, I'll do tonight. And I do that for a couple of reasons. Firstly, like I said, I'm more of a night person than a morning person. But also, I have to see how today went and if I was able to accomplish everything that I hoped, because that will affect what I plan for the next day. So the other important thing with planning is to underpromise and overdeliver. Like when I look at my day today, I overpromised. I got almost all of it done, but there are 2 palm rounds still outstanding. Can I still do them? Absolutely. I could still do them tonight. But I also am trying to practice not working 10 hours a day, so I can feel like I can refuel and that I have a life. Even though I have a lot of deadline heavy items going on right now, and I'll have to work longer days than I typically would, I still want to be mindful of not working around the clock, because again, I won't put my best foot forward in that way. So I might do those 2 palm rounds today. I might put them off till tomorrow. I'll see how I feel. Honestly, I'm just going to see how I feel. I've done a lot today already. I've accomplished a lot. So if I don't do those 2 palm rounds today, I'm not going to go to bed disappointed, because I've had a very productive day. So we'll just see if I feel a wave of motivation later. I mean, sometimes the 2 palm rounds I have to do is writing this particular article. And sometimes at 10 o'clock at night, I get a wave of inspiration and creativity. And so I might sit in bed and do those 2 palm rounds and jot down some notes and stuff. And that's fine for me, because it's not something that's then going to keep me awake. Again, more of a night person. I don't go to sleep till probably midnight or after anyway. And sometimes that's when my creative juices can really be flowing. So to answer your question, I do it at night just because it works better for me. Shadi, please make a whole show on planning and goals and mental clutter and tasks. What we talked about. Yeah, absolutely. I can do a Facebook Live just on planning. Oh, thanks, Shadi. She's listened to my show many times on Hay House. Thank you. On the summit, I think, is probably what you mean. Appreciate that, Shadi. Lisa, underpromise and overdeliver. Yes. That is like, well, it's business 101, but it's life 101, right? I'll tell you, I'm going to get on a soapbox just for a minute here. If more business owners practiced underpromising and over-delivering, they would have raving fans talking about them all the time. So many people overpromise and underdeliver, and it's frustrating. I'm speaking now from like a contractor sense with the tiny house builds. Contractors by nature are notorious for overpromising and underdelivering. And all that does is piss people off. But you can apply that same thing to your life. I overpromised today. But, so you can look and see, what are the expectations I have for myself? What am I expecting myself to get done? And, so that's why I'll say, if I'm going to do that writing today, I'm going to do 2 palm rounds and only 2 palm rounds. That's not going to get the article done. It might be 2 palm rounds of just scribbling down some crappy notes. But that's okay. It's like I'm not saying to myself, the task still on my list today is to get that article done. I'm not going to put that down on the list, because that's too overwhelming, which is going to make me want to avoid it. Instead, if I say I'm going to do 2 Pomodoro rounds, 2 25-minute rounds on making some notes about the article, that's a finite expectation, something that even my resistance can get on board with. So that's why you'll hear me always say, break it down, break it down, break it down. Make the task smaller, underpromise, overdeliver. Yeah, they should, right, Melissa? They should jump on board. God damn contractors.
That's why I was laughing.
Yeah.
I was typing it.
Oh, yeah. Now, Melissa and I both have contractors in our respective families, so we love them. But just their business practices, and I don't know why it is, and I'm sure there's a reason, because it is across the board. So clearly it's something in the way that they have to do business. I know they have to juggle multiple jobs to make a living. I get it. But I would rather you say to me, listen, my lead time is 2 weeks, and then surprise me in a week and say, hey, I can actually get you in Monday if that works. I would be your biggest fan. I would jump on social media and rave about your ass instead of bitch about it. Yeah, so practice that in your own life too. Underpromise, overdeliver. It is a good approach. All right. Anyone else have any final thoughts, questions, anything before we wrap up? And yes, Shadi, I will definitely take your suggestion under consideration of doing a Facebook Live specifically on planning and goals and tasks. I think that's a really good topic. All right, cool. So as I mentioned, you can sign up for my weekly newsletter, carrierichardson.com. Go to carrierichardson.com/book to read about my book that's coming out August 15th. You can pre-order it, get some really good bonuses on there as well. Please, even if you're watching the replay of this, you can share it with your friends, like it, comment on it. Like I said, I'll come back and respond to your comments if you watch the replay. And yeah, I think that's everything. So I'll see you back here next week. I don't know about the time. It might change. But again, I send a note out to my newsletter subscribers on Monday morning, Monday afternoons, to let them know what time the Facebook Live chat will be. And I also put it on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. You can find links to all my social media outlets on my website right at the top right-hand side of the homepage, carrierichardson.com. So thanks everybody so much. Have a great week. Shadi, the summit is how I found you and did your fabulous class. I know, Shadi. I'm so excited to have you in class. Hopefully, I don't know. I'll have to check my list. I don't know if you're signed up for Clutterbuster 2.0, but we're going to talk a lot about procrastination in there, beliefs, boundaries, the more kind of underneath clutter stuff in Clutterbuster 2.0. So yeah, everyone have a great week. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. And I will talk to you next Monday. Bye.